Welcome to the Leadership Lounge, your go-to podcast for insightful conversations, expert advice, and strategies to elevate your leadership. I'm your host, Karie Millspaugh, best-selling author, award-winning motivational speaker, and executive leadership coach. In my profession, I've seen firsthand the daily stresses executives face and how, together, we've overcome these challenges with expert guidance. Whether you're a seasoned leader, aspiring executive, or entrepreneur, this show is for those ready to lead with impact and purpose. This isn't just about theory, it's about practical, real-life application. Tune in for inspiring stories, actionable advice, and leadership lessons you can implement right away to drive success in your career and organization. Let's dive into today's episode. Hello there. Welcome back to the Leadership Lounge, where we dive deep into the heart of leadership, team dynamics, and the strategies that can drive success in today's fast-paced business world. I'm your host, Karie Millspaugh, and today we're exploring a topic that I believe is the cornerstone of every thriving organization: effective communication in the workplace. We all know that communication is critical, but it's more than just exchanging information. It's not just noise, guys. It's about creating clarity, alignment, and ultimately driving results. Whether you're a leader guiding a team or you're a part of a cross-functional project, how we communicate can truly make or break an organization. And let's just take it a step further. It can make or break a relationship or anything else. I really, truly feel that communication is the glue that holds everything together, which is why I've made that type of section of industry. Communication has always been my favorite place to play, from podcasts to blogging to publishing books that I've published as well for clients and myself. It's a big deal to me. It's a big deal. So today I'm going to walk you through 3 real life scenarios where communication has the power to either elevate a team to new heights or cause it to crumble. We'll talk about the communication pitfalls to avoid, and more importantly, how to implement strategies that can transform your team's performance. So let's just jump in, okay? First and foremost, I do want to pause and say, this can go either way. There's always going to be nuggets that you're going to take away from today's episode that will help you in your professional world. And even if you're not a team lead or don't have a team and you're just a part of the organization, I'm speaking to you too, because this is a way where you can kind of absorb what I'm helping you with today and kind of giving you some insight of what works from the outside looking in and what has worked in the past with other clients of mine. And if your team lead isn't doing this, maybe on your one-on-one, you can implement some strategies and be that person that rises up. You're looking for that promotion. This is the way to do it. Don't just sit on the sidelines waiting for your vice president or project manager or director to jump in and tell you what to do. Be that leader. Leaders are born. Leaders are created. Leaders are those that just jump in. They don't wait around for the title. Okay? I want that to sink in. They don't wait around for the title or for someone else to give it or grant them leadership. They just jump forward, regardless of the title or pay, regardless of the promotion. They jump in and are seen as leaders through their actions. Okay, so that's where it starts. If you're looking for that promotion, okay, I'm giving you permission to jump in and drive the team forward. If your team lead isn't doing it, you get to jump in as well. I've done it before, it works. So let's just dive right into the first scenario. It's one I've seen many times with executives, and I call it the vision disconnect. Imagine this. You're leading a growing organization with ambitious goals. You've outlined a new strategy. You've communicated in a few meetings. You've sent out some emails, and you're assuming that everyone is on the same page. You're like, what more could I do? I feel like I'm drilling this down to detail. And if anything, I feel like I'm boring people with the same content. I'm shoving it in their face over and over and over again. In sales, you've seen that it takes 7 touches before someone buys. How many times have you scrolled through something on social media or even missed an email and you're like, am I just seeing this for the first time? Where have I been? Like, I didn't even hear about that. That was in the news. Yeah, it was in the news. They've been rebroadcasting it over and over again. It's been on social media. It's been emailed, and you're just now seeing it, say 6 or 7 days later. That is how your team feels too. Trust me, you cannot over communicate enough. I know you may feel like you're beating them upside the head with this message, but trust me, that repetitive motion is super important. Again, just like a sales process. Okay, so you're assuming everyone's on the same page, but then a few months later, you start noticing something troubling. Projects are falling behind, departments are working in silos, and morale is dipping. What happened? Why is everyone not moving this project forward? This is a classic case of vision miscommunication. The issue here isn't that vision wasn't communicated at all. It's that it wasn't communicated clearly or consistently. Okay, got that in your head, clearly or consistently. When leaders fail to articulate the broader mission, take your team back up on that mountaintop. Show them why we're doing this. Don't just say, this is the project. We need it in 7 weeks to be completed. Done. Okay, so I've got 7 weeks to finish this project. Did you get to the why? Why are we doing this? This will sink into their DNA so much better if you can take them through the why, the vision. So again, take them on the broader mission and how every role fits into that picture. See their piece to the puzzle. Put them in that placement. I need Susie over here in communications to really jump in and articulate this well and get the PR behind it and the magic. I'm going to need operations over here to implement this piece. I'm going to need Joe over here in the project management to track all of this. I'm going to, give everyone their placement and why it's important to the overall big picture. Make it personal. It's not hard. You got to don't just tell, share, involve, connect, communicate through connecting, not just telling it from the mountaintop. This is what we need to do in 7 weeks, and this is your piece. Have a nice day. Bye. And assume your team gets it. Some are still questioning, well, wait, what? This feels a lot like the project over here we're working on. And they have questions, and they're like, well, what part am I doing? I feel like I'm repeating the work. Wait, isn't another team doing this too? All this stuff is bubbling up. And if you don't give your team permission to talk, which I'll share in other pieces to this podcast, you're going to have a lot of stuck confusion energy. And then when you start to see that deadline's getting closer and nothing's happening and we're not getting this moving, the mark is not getting moved forward and no one's moving the needle, that's when we realize, somebody wasn't paying attention. No, I think it wasn't that. It was you, the communicator, okay? Was it effective communication? So again, when leaders fail to articulate the broader mission and how every role fits into that picture, teams end up working on what they think is important rather than what's actually aligned with the company goals. It's no different than giving your kid a grocery list or say, go get some milk, bye, and some bread and whatever else. And they go to the store and they get chocolate milk. Mom didn't say I couldn't get chocolate milk. But they don't know you need the milk for baking bread or baking a cake or some recipe. It's not just for drinking. They grab chocolate milk. And then you said bread, but did she say I could have cinnamon raisin bread? That's my favorite. I love cinnamon raisin bread. Mom needed to make stuffing for Thanksgiving dinner with this bread. And now she's got cinnamon raisin. Could be good. Who knows? But you see the picture, it's something as simple. Don't be so broad with the direction. Make sure you kind of drill down to detail for each team member. So again, they're going to fill in the blanks where you left them. Same with any personal relationship. When we don't get the details, we'll fill in the blanks with what we think is important rather than what's actually aligned with the company's goals. In one of my experiences working with a tech company, the CEO had these big goals for expansion, but each department interpreted that vision differently through their own lens. You got to help manipulate the lens so they're all seeing from the same pair of glasses, guys. The marketing team was focusing on the brand awareness because that's what marketing teams do, while sales was chasing short-term revenue, which is what sales teams do, right? We're trying to hit those goals. Let me get some money in the bank. I want to hit that and get a bonus. Both were valid efforts, but they weren't working together towards the company's overarching growth objective. Once we identified this disconnect, we developed a communication strategy that involved regular all-hands meetings and department-specific sessions to clearly outline how each team's efforts supported the company's long-term vision. So what's the key takeaway in this scenario? Effective communication requires clarity and consistency, even if you feel like you're just non-stop talking about it like a broken record, just on repeat all the time. Do it anyway. Make sure it's consistent. And it's in every area that you could think your team's looking, whether it's a team's communication dashboard, whether it's email, newsletters, hit them everywhere. Hit them everywhere. Just anywhere you think. It's no different than a business that's doing marketing. They're going to hit it on YouTube. They're going to do TikTok. They're going to do Instagram. They're going to do Facebook. They're going to do their newsletter. They're going to do LinkedIn. They're going to hit every social media platform, Instagram, if I didn't mention that already. And make sure it's on X as well. Just make sure you're on every platform, because people live in different places. They choose to get their information maybe from one source. And if you don't hit that source, you're missing them, assuming they've looked at their email, assuming they've opened an Instagram account. Same with your team, whether you use Slack or whatever type of platform out there. Microsoft Teams, Viva Engage, where are they? Viva Learning, all the things. Make sure you're just saturating it. I know it feels yucky. You feel like, oh my goodness, this is just so much in their face. They're going to get tired of hearing about this topic. Just assume they've not seen it yet. That's the best thing you can do, okay? So again, clarity and consistency, saturate everywhere. And if you're a business, saturate the marketplace. Just assume no one's seen it yet, okay? Don't just state the vision once. Repeat it. Break it down for each department and create open channels for feedback. We're going to talk more about that in a second. So the next up I want to talk about is the second scenario. It's called the silent bottleneck. I've seen it so many times. I know you have too. You're going to be like, oh, I know this one already. Picture this, okay? A high-performing sales team is trying to close deals on a tight deadline. That quarter is coming to a close. You've only got a few more days left. You've been there. Your sales team is doing everything they can to bust their butt and get in those last-minute deals. However, they're relying on the operations teams to approve the contracts before finalizing them. Oh, this is so frustrating. I've been in that sales team where I'm like, I need you guys to approve this, or I'm getting stuck in legal and compliance to get through these contracts and sign off on them and get them approved and push them through. Why is this not happening? And it's so frustrating because you've done all the pieces as a sales team. You've done it all. You did your part. You're closing the deal. You're the winner here. And now it's stuck somewhere. This is that silent bottleneck. Now, what's the problem? The operations team is swamped, but they aren't communicating their bandwidth issues. Instead, they're quietly overwhelmed, resulting in contract delays and missed revenue targets. Here's the key issue: lack of transparent communication. They're afraid to jump up and say, hey, I'm drowning over here. I'm putting in some long hours and it's still not enough. What do I do? Instead of raising their hand or raising that flag like, help, SOS over here. When one team faces bottlenecks but fails to communicate those challenges, it creates a ripple effect across the organization, and it's not a good one. It's not the positive kind of ripple effect. It causes a silent bottleneck. In this scenario, had the operations team voiced their concerns earlier, leadership could have reallocated resources, adjusted priorities, or created a temporary solution to ensure deals weren't lost. You learn this one the hard way, guys, right? I hate learning the hard way too, but you learn it, but it's costly. You miss your revenue stream for that, or you miss that quarterly sales bonus. All of that adds up. But because the problem wasn't communicated, the entire company's performance suffered. Now you have a flat quarter that didn't hit goal. I worked with a global client where we encountered a similar bottleneck between their engineering and sales teams. The engineers were facing delays due to resource constraints, but they didn't communicate the problem clearly. As a result, the sales team kept making promises to clients based on inaccurate timelines. What we did is we implemented a system where bottlenecks could be flagged immediately through shared dashboards. Immediately, we need to know what's slowing things up. If you're not having consistent communication with your teams, you're not going to know this is even happening. You have to know. You got to have those pipeline meetings. You have to. It's necessary. I know it's boring. It seems repetitive at times, but you as a team lead can go, hey, I'm seeing a red flag over here. There's something getting stuck. How can we free this up so we can all hit our goals? So again, implement a system where bottlenecks can be flagged through shared dashboards, weekly syncs. Key teams can keep the communication flowing. What's the result? Fewer delays, more realistic expectations, and stronger interdepartmental collaboration. It's huge. It's huge. What is the key takeaway here? Transparency is critical. When there are challenges, speak up clearly and early. Speak up often. It's better to address the problem up front than to deal with the consequences of silence later. Silence doesn't help anybody, guys. You're a team. If you are rowing a boat and your oar just fell in the water, you're going to speak up and go, oh no, even though everyone's got an oar and they're doing their best. I just lost an oar. I'm not effective anymore. This side of whatever I was rowing is going to need some extra strength. I was going to say umph. Is that a word? I don't think it is, but extra strength from my teammates. Someone's going to have to paddle harder because I just dropped an oar in the water. You've got to say something. We can't read your mind. No different than, again, anywhere else. If you're struggling, you need to say, help. I can't do this anymore. I need help. I need help. Because as the team starts to get overwhelmed and burn out and ultimately they quit or leave because they're just frustrated, stop and speak up. I cannot stress it enough. I know it's scary to voice your concerns, but it's going to make a bigger difference. It's going to feel a little scary in the front, but it's way worse later to say, we're not going to hit all of our sales goals because I didn't speak up and we're overwhelmed and we've got a silent bottleneck now. Okay, so let's jump into another scenario that I see often. Here's our third and final scenario, the feedback freeze. This one's my favorite because it's so important and I spend a lot of time here with leaders. Are you the type of team member or leader or director, whatever your title is, that has created a safe space for your team to talk to you? If you haven't, there's still time to recuperate that and course correct. Let's pivot. Start doing one-on-ones, creating that safe space for your team member to talk to you. Be in a space, create a space where you can be vulnerable. So you go first as the team lead. I would do a one-on-one and I would be vulnerable in that moment. Like, today I'm struggling. This is where I feel like I'm dropping the ball. Can you help me with a little feedback? Where can I be better? Help me to help you. And then your team member is going to jump in and go, wow, they're asking me for help? Huh. I thought I was going to get my butt chewed out today in our one-on-one. No, create that safe space up front. And if you have to do it one-on-one, do it one-on-one. And there's going to be some of your team members that are better off in that private one-on-one scenario where that safe space feels more comfortable to be vulnerable versus in front of a lot of people. If they're introvert, they're not going to want to talk in front of their team members. Most people don't want to share their weaknesses in front of team members. Always have that one-on-one if you can. If you've got a team of 100 people, I get it. It's almost frustrating. If you can, have a bunch of little tiny increment teams, like small one-on-ones with like 5 of your team members at a time. Make it happen. Figure it out. There's a solution there. You cannot let this one slide. You can't. You can't afford to. You will lose some valuable team members. So here we go into the scenario. Ready? We've all worked in environments where feedback feels uncomfortable, and it does. Even I, as much as I've worked on this part of myself, still don't want to be vulnerable. I want to be seen as the leader, the team member, the strength. I'm so powerful. I'm the one who has all the answers. I love that space. But there's times when I don't. I need help. Show me what I need to do. And it is uncomfortable. So employees are going to be hesitant to share their thoughts, either because they're afraid of conflict or because the culture doesn't promote open communication. Don't be that culture. Don't be that person. Don't be that culture. This is what I call, again, the feedback freeze. So let's say you have a product team that's working on a new software rollout. The team knows where all the bugs are in the system, but they hesitate to give honest feedback because the deadlines are tight. And there's pressure from leadership to push it all forward. The product launches, and guess what? It's riddled with issues that could have been avoided had there been a culture of open feedback. I've seen this so many times, especially as a consultant on the outside. You're like, oh, I can see this person's I can see them on camera struggling. They want to say something. They're afraid to cause conflict. And they're like, I've been there before and I've seen where this is going to trip us up. If I don't say something, I'm going to look like I'm negative. Oh, I don't know if I should. You can just see that inner turmoil of conflict on their face. And they don't speak up. And weeks go by and the product's not getting pushed forward. And it's because of that one time they should have said something. I forgot to tell you guys there's going to be a delay. Last time I did this, there was a big delay here. And it tripped us up and we didn't hit that deadline. So I have helped a company facing a similar issue with its product development process. We implemented a new communication approach where we established a culture of continuous feedback loops, not continuous checkpoints, continuous. It's got to be constant pit stops in a NASCAR race. Team members were encouraged to give feedback at every stage of the project. Open dialogue, guys. Open. If you have to pause and be silent because that one introvert's afraid to speak up, be silent. Stop talking. Don't go, anyone have any questions? Okay, moving on. What was that, half a second? Like, give them a minute. Give them a minute. Create that safe space. Cannot tell it enough. Okay, so we were encouraging them at every stage of the project for feedback, whether it was about product design, internal processes, everything, leadership decisions. We made it a safe space where no feedback was off limits. As a result, the quality of the final product improved dramatically, and the team felt more empowered to share their insights. Every step of the way, where are we at? What's causing problems? Do you see where we could do this better? We're all learning here. Create that space where you're all leaning. You as the team lead need to be vulnerable. You don't have all the answers, and sometimes your team is way better equipped than you anyway. You're just the decision maker. Be vulnerable and let them know, look, I can only do this as good as you guys are. If you guys aren't in a good space, I'm not in a good space. That's what true leadership looks like. So what is this key takeaway for this third scenario is that feedback isn't a one-time event. It needs to be continuous, constructive, and encouraged across all levels of the organization. And when employees feel heard, they're more invested in the company's success. They want to jump in. I feel heard. You actually did what I said. They're so invested. Now you've just skyrocketed company morale. Team morale is at an all-time high because they feel seen and heard and feel valued. That goes for any relationship, whether it's in the workplace or in your personal life. Feeling valuable. Like on a trip with your loved one, pause and go, are you having a good time? Is this what you wanted to do? Is this what you envisioned the trip to look like? Is there something we didn't do yet that you want to do? Don't just assume, all right, we made a plan for the weekend. We're all jumping in the car and we're taking off. And just assume this is what they wanted to do. We went from point A to point B. Do regular check-ins. Are you having a good time? Is there something you would like to do? Would you like to also go here? Is there a restaurant you were hoping to stop in and see? I have to throw in the personal stuff because it's so important to me as a personal development coach as well. Where can I, instead of waiting towards the end of the trip, well, did you have fun? Oh, you were hoping for this? Oh, why didn't you speak up? Did you create a safe space to speak up? Did you create a safe space? Did you allow your partner the opportunity to have anything to do with the plans? Did they get any input? Did you create the safe space? I just want to pause there because don't get mad at your partner if they didn't speak up because they felt like you were a dictator through the whole trip. This is what we're doing. This is where we're going. I'm leading. I'm driving. You just get to be a passenger in the passenger seat and suck it up and enjoy it. Whatever happens, happens. And again, it goes both ways. You can't expect your partner to read your mind either and go, well, I didn't really want to go here. I didn't want to sightsee. I didn't want to hike this trail. I didn't want to go to this restaurant. I didn't want to go to this hotel. I was really hoping we would do this, this, and this. And if you're both not on the same page, the one partner's thinking the weekend was a success and the other one's disgruntled and upset and going, I'm never doing that again. I'll just take off on my own. I'll do my own thing. I'm going to do my way this time. And now we have a disconnect. One thinks one thing, one thinks another. All because we lacked effective communication. Communication isn't just be ready by 10 o'clock. This is where we're going. Make sure you pack this, this, and this. That's not it. That's just one little piece. It's the continuous, constructive, and encouraged feedback that is so important in all relationships, not just when you're running your team. And I had to plug that in there, and I always do with my podcast episodes because I want real life scenarios to not just make you a better leader in your team, but also a leader in your relationships all across the board. Do it with your kids, do it with your team, do it with your partner, do it with your family, whatever that looks like, your friends, all your relationships will benefit greatly from effective communication. Trust me. Again, communication is the glue that holds everything together, not just organizations. It holds everything together. And without it, it all starts to crumble and fall apart. So in conclusion, there you have it, 3 real-life scenarios where communication can make or break an organization or your life. Whether it's ensuring that your team understands the bigger picture, being transparent about challenges, or fostering a culture of open feedback, communication is truly the lifeblood of a successful workplace. And the great news is that effective communication can be developed. As leaders, it's our job to create environments where communication is clear, transparent, and constant. If any of these scenarios sound familiar to you, or if you're looking to improve communication within your organization, I'd love to help you explore new strategies to get your team aligned and performing at its best. I've gotten hired just for this piece alone, communications within the team. I could spend months, their entire fiscal year around just that, getting it to be a well-oiled machine. That alone can make or break your entire team. And if you want to focus on just that, I can help you. So thanks again for tuning in today. And don't forget to subscribe to the Leadership Lounge for more insights on leadership, team dynamics, and strategies to drive success. Until next time, keep communicating effectively. There's a difference. Keep leading and keep building something amazing. See you on the next episode of the Leadership Lounge. Big hugs, big love. Mwah.
Welcome to the Class of the Little Sass podcast. I'm your host, Karie Millspaugh, best-selling author and award-winning motivational speaker with over 20 years in the personal development industry. I believe that the more you know, the more you grow. With each podcast episode, I will educate and empower you, girlfriend to girlfriend style, on how to create a happy life, from motherhood guidance, career and business advice, to feeling confident in your relationships and everything in between. This is Real Talk Radio. Let's jump right into today's episode.